When the Islamic State pushed into northern Iraq in 2014, most of the ethnic Yazidi residents of the area were forced to flee. In November 2015, Kurdish Peshmerga forces were able to recapture a portion of what they'd lost, including Sinjar, a city that was once home to 500,000 people. But the fight rages on. The Peshmerga may have driven their enemy out of Sinjar, but ISIS isn't giving up so easily. On the new front line, Peshmerga soldiers are living under daily low-grade attacks by snipers and indirect fire. So it's about 8:30 in the morning. It's a beautiful morning. The sky is incredible. The birds are chirping, and ISIS has been shooting at us all morning. Just sporadic fire, mortar rounds coming in from that direction and landing over here in the center of the city. Also, we've had just sporadic. So there's a couple of mortar rounds right there. Now that means we've got about 15 seconds before we find out where they're going to land, and they've been landing over here in the center of the city. But it's a kind of scary feeling because you don't have any control over where they're going to land, and if they land right here, it's game over. Oh, you hear it? There it goes. Landed over this way. So these Kurdish soldiers that are holding the front line here in Sinjar, they have to put up with this constantly. It's not really intense fighting. It's just very low-grade fighting most of the time. Once in a while, there'll be an attack, but it's mostly sniper fire and this indirect fire that they have to worry about. We've come here to see evidence of an attack ISIS made recently employing chemical weapons, a form of warfare that most nations have banned for more than 100 years. We traveled to a field just outside the village where the front line is today, and we're careful to stay upwind from the site of the attack. On the 11th of February, ISIS fired over 30 mortar shells from off here to my left into this village, now being held by Kurdish forces. And the shells didn't explode like normal mortar shells would. Instead, they released a white gas. And I'm here over a week after the attack, and even right now, there's a very pungent odor of rotten vegetables. That's indicative of a mustard agent. And you can see some residue here from the explosion that has this black tar substance on it. And I think this is pretty serious. The Kurds thought so. They came out here and covered up the craters made by the mortars because this stuff is still highly toxic, very dangerous.
When they went off, we could see the white smoke in the distance.
CBN first learned of the attack from my friend Dave Eubanks, who heads a humanitarian group that was here giving medical training at the time of the attack.
When the attack happened, we were on the front line training Peshmerga right down there. We heard about it. We came here, and what we saw were shell craters with black tar all around them and stinking and reeking. So we try to stay upwind of them. And these 120 millimeter mortar rounds. And then we began to talk to some of the patients who had a hard time breathing. They were constricted in their throats. Their noses were burning. 30 people sick right away. Now over 175 people sickened.
We went to meet the doctor who treated the victims in the tiny Peshmerga aid station.
Fever, vomiting, headaches, diarrhea.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
And bad breathing?
Breathing, yes. It's this gas, upper respiratory system.
Upper respiratory,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yes. So the doctor has, they've taken samples of the residue from these mortar rounds that came in, and they're waiting for somebody to come and test them. No one has come, and they're pretty baffled by that. They're wondering why nobody really cares to come and test this and find out what kind of nerve agent it was. Not long after we left the clinic, one of the soldiers injured in the attack showed up asking for help from Eubanks' medical team. But before they could begin treating him,
Oh gosh.
Okay, I go get it's very sick.
Yeah. Lord, as you heal this man and help him recover.
we rushed him to the clinic where the doctor did his best to treat him. But his condition didn't improve, so he was sent by ambulance to the nearest hospital, more than 2 hours away.
Important test examination. Anybody come here? No, anybody come here to take statistics examination. What is this gas?
We just don't know. Is it chlorine or is it mustard or is it something else? And that's why we need people to come and test this. The doctor was appealing, please someone come and test so we know, one, what it is so we can treat our people, two, so we know how to guard against it if we get hit again.
As the ambulance was leaving, ISIS started shelling again.
We gotta go for the bunker. There's another incoming round. You stay right here. Is that it?
That's it. Line over here.
You gonna get your binos? The fight dragged on, and someone called an airstrike, while the Kurds fought back with their own weapons. As for the chemical used by ISIS, no one is sure what it is or where it came from. Now the biggest concern is that ISIS could find a way to transfer these weapons into Europe or even the United States. But for now, the Kurds are doing their best to keep them occupied here.
A-10 just came over and lit up those positions.
From northern Iraq, I'm Chuck Holt for CBN News.